Well, our problem was just the market didn't really know about us at all. I mean, we were, small company, kind of started up out of an agency and kind of switched over to the product focus. But so nobody really knew about our product. And so it was really in that context and kind of that launch point that we realized we had to do a lot more education, a lot more content to sort of show people what is going on that they might not be thinking about, and to really do it in not a hard selling kind of way, but really just to try to educate and inform the market, and ultimately perform the demand generation that's been so helpful. We knew that we needed to be consistent with content production and just getting content out, particularly LinkedIn, because we work with business. It's like a B2B kind of operation, and so points of contact, customers, they're on LinkedIn quite a bit. And so I knew that that's where we needed to do it. But when it was just trying to do it myself, right, it was hard to be consistent. If I got a lot of energy together, I would do it for maybe 2 weeks in a row, and then it would just fall off for a month, and then I would lose all of that momentum. So that was really kind of the main problem we had. I specifically had because I was trying to produce the content, publish it, engage people with it, and it wasn't consistent enough, and the quality also wasn't there. It was that first month when I jumped on the call, and there was just a video interview, and it took an hour, and all the prompts were great. It was all prepared well. It was all set up well, and it was just an hour was over, and then all of a sudden, within about a week, I got all of these all this content to approve, and I just thought, wow, that is a really efficient way to get high leverage with my time. Everybody talks about dark social. It's the big thing. I have friends who are also either agency bosses or startup founders or whatever who do demand gen for a while, and they don't initially see a big return from it, and then right when they're thinking about giving up, a year, sometimes 2 years later, a friend of mine did a podcast for 2 years, and he never got one lead from it, and then finally he was about to shut it down, and then all these people started contacting him and said, we've been listening to your every single podcast for the last 2 years, and he didn't realize it, but there was actually a community that had formed, because his content was good. And so I think just understanding that people will, I don't know what you call them, stalkers, or people that kind of just pay attention to your content but don't really contact you. That was one of the things, is after several months I was kind of saying, well, I'm not getting a huge amount of engagement. Is this really working? Is this worth it? And then all of a sudden I started to get a couple of comments where people would reach out and say, hey, can you send me that video again? And I thought, oh, that's cool. What's interesting to you about the video? And this woman, perfect ICP for my target, she said, oh, it's such great content, I need to share it with my entire sales team. So it just kind of goes back to that whole thing that I heard once, which is, if done right, if done in an educational way, your marketing will serve far more people than your product ever will. And I really believe that that's possible. But the other thing that I think is really important that you did talk to me about early on is there's a level of kind of, I mean, I don't know, you want to call it media training, where basically, you got to get the reps in. And so, yeah, I mean, okay, sure, 1 in 1,000 people will get in front of a camera and be perfect, but most of us aren't. Most of us are a little nervous and kind of have a lot of, eye twitching or weird stuff. And you kind of just learn how to get more composed on camera over time, the more practice you have with it. And you also get better at communicating ideas, which is also something you told me about initially, is that the program by Demandy makes it a lot, it makes sort of thinking clearer, right, about your product and how you communicate about your offering. The first is it is no question the absolute winning scenario, which is with a very limited time commitment, hour and a half a month, whatever, hour for the interview, half hour for the approvals and whatever, you can, leverage yourself through Demandy so that, daily content is being produced in a highly effective and engaging way. And it's a mix of types of content. It's text, it's video, it's kind of other stuff. Some of it's funny. I mean, I've been impressed at how funny some of it is, and that's gotten some really good engagement for us. On the other side, I would say that it's important to understand that this is not a hey, everything for your company is going to be done by Demandee, right? It's like this is I think you call it the lead domino. Makes sense. I like that idea, but it doesn't take away the responsibility of the founder and his or her team to, follow up with prospects, to do kind of the SDR, BDR function, just putting out great demand, creating demand and capturing demand are still different, right? So one should go in with eyes open.